There's an old Korean saying, "Even if the sky falls, there is a hole to escape through." It's about being strong and bouncing back, but also about the feeling that our paths are, in some ways, already decided. We walk on roads made ready by fate, our families, or the choices we've made. Looking back, our journeys seem like they had to happen, as if we were always going to one place. But what happens when the person walking disappears, yet the path keeps going? In our digital world, computers keep track of everything we do, our commutes, what we buy, where we are. We trust these systems to tell the story of our lives. But what if the story the computer tells is different from what really happened? Recently in South Korea, a woman bought a train ticket, just a normal thing to do. Her trip was planned, her seat saved, her path laid out in computer code and information. But something unexpected happened. She passed away before her trip even started. The human story ended, but the digital one had just begun. The train company's records showed her trip continuing, even after she died. Someone, or something, kept moving along that road, leaving a trail of digital footsteps. The system insisted the trip was finished, making us wonder about the strange things that happen with machines. This is where what our systems expect bumps into the surprising reality of life and death. The event happened quietly. A woman in her late 50s bought a train ticket with a few stops, her trip scheduled and seat given. But before she could travel, she died suddenly at home. Her family, deep in sadness, didn't think about the ticket she hadn't used. Yet, hours after she passed away, the ticket was scanned, many times. First at the station where the trip started, then at a transfer spot, and finally at her destination. Each scan was a digital confirmation. The trip was going as planned. The system's timeline was exact, showing a complete journey. The computer logs were clean, the information was all the same. To the machine, nothing was wrong. A customer had used the service just as they were supposed to. But in truth, the woman was gone. Her death confirmed. Yet her ticket traveled on, going through gates and platforms. The puzzling question: if she was dead, who finished her trip? Who held her ticket, walking the path she was supposed to take? On one side, the fact that a life had ended. On the other, the clear information that a trip was completed. The system had done its job, writing down a trip that never truly happened. The digital ghost moved through the network, leaving a mystery behind it. The family was left with questions, and the system with a perfect but wrong record. The heart of the story: a trip finished, but a life erased. The computer information and the human story had split apart, and no one could explain how. The mystery was just beginning. The Korea system's log showed everything was perfectly normal. Ticket bought, route set, all in order. On the day of travel, the ticket's QR code was scanned at Seoul Station, right on time. But the woman had died that morning, hours before the first scan. While her family was sad, her digital self was just starting its journey. The system, not knowing about the sad event, only saw correct information. A code was shown, a gate opened, a record was made. The next scan appeared at Daejeon Station, showing a transfer. Someone was moving through the stations, following her plan. The final scan at Busan marked the end of the trip. The trail of information was perfect. A story of a passenger traveling from Seoul to Busan. But this story was made up, written by a machine that records actions, not who people are. The system's log was efficient, but scary. A reminder of the gap between computer information and what people actually experience. The ghost in the machine wasn't a spirit, but a traveler unknown to everyone but the system. The journey was complete, but the truth was lost. The machine's story was perfect. The human story, gone. The logs told a tale that never truly happened. With the woman's death confirmed, the question remains, who finished her journey? The most likely answer: someone else used her ticket. In our digital world, a train ticket is just a QR code, easy to give to someone else. Maybe a family member, in sadness or needing to, used it to finish an important task. Or perhaps a neighbor or friend found the ticket and took the chance. The ticket became a key without a known owner, its use purely practical. The system doesn't check who you are, only if the code is good. Whoever walked through those gates was invisible to the system, a ghost traveler. The unseen traveler finished the journey, making the mystery deeper. The system worked as it was supposed to, but the person behind the ticket remained unknown. The way our systems are, not caring about people, was made clear. To understand this strange event, I talked to a systems engineer. The train network is built for speed and being correct. Every scan has a timestamp. The system tracks the ticket, not the person. For a ticket to be scanned in many places, it must actually be there. There's no good way for a ghost scan to pretend to be a real journey. The system isn't thinking, it's just writing down events. The strange event isn't a system breaking down, but a gap between information and what's real. Tickets are sometimes used by others, but usually with permission. The system's blind spot is who people are. We trade checking identity for making things easy. In this case, the system's perfect record told a story that felt impossible. The logs were perfect, but the truth was missing. This story connects with the idea of unseen work, especially for women in Korea. Unseen work is the quiet effort done to keep families and communities going. The woman's journey might have been more than just travel. It was likely a responsibility. When she died, the task remained, and someone else took on the burden. Using her ticket wasn't about saving money, but about continuing her work. The new traveler became like an extension of her, making sure the care continued without breaking. This act of unseen work is common. When one woman passes, others quietly take over her roles. The journey of the ticket is a symbol responsibility passed on, work finished, effort remaining unseen. The system records the journey, but not the heavy load of work behind it. The story is about more than a ticket. It's about the hidden burdens we carry. In Korea, this isn't a ghost story, but a tale of intentions that weren't finished. Strong will and tasks left undone create a push that seeks to be completed. The woman's planned journey was a statement of what she intended, left hanging by her death. Someone finishing her trip became a way to resolve things, giving her lasting purpose a place to land. This act calms sadness that isn't resolved or things left undone. Finishing the journey honors her last intention, bringing a sense of completion. The traveler wasn't random. They took part in a cultural act, carrying her last responsibility. The focus changes from who traveled to what was done. A circle closed, a purpose fulfilled. The journey was driven not by a ghost, but by the lasting push of responsibility. The act was like a ritual, not an accident. In the end, the world keeps moving efficiently. Systems fill empty spots left by those who are gone. Families take on responsibilities. Companies hire new people. The railway recorded a finished journey, quietly writing over the story of a life that ended. The train arrived, the gates opened, the network's rhythm was not disturbed. The system had no room for the details of death, only for a completed transaction. Our digital trails define us, but they can become separate from our living selves. The journey was more real to the system than the person who was supposed to take it. The system being so efficient is both amazing and unsettling. We've built a world that cares more about the process than who people are. The story of the ticket scanned after death is the clearest example. The journey mattered more than the traveler. As we put ourselves more and more into systems driven by data, what part of being human do we give up for convenience? The system records our progress, but if the journey can be completed without us, what does that say about our role? Are we the travelers or just temporary caretakers of the ticket?